Joining me now, Congressman Wrk Massa. He is a congressman from New York. How are you, sir?
Good to be here, and I'm not a congressman anymore. Let's be clear about that.
I think once a congressman, always a congressman.
Well, and can I just start off with something?
Sure.
I wasn't forced out. I forced myself out. I failed. I didn't live up to my own codes. I own this. I take full and complete responsibility for my misbehavior, and goodness only knows what allegations they're going to throw at me. There's even new ones today, and we'll talk about that. I'm not blaming anybody.
Let me start here then.
Okay.
Let's get this out. The new allegations came out about 90 minutes ago.
That's right. Isn't that odd time just with the program?
That usually happens. So the new allegations, first it was you made an off-color remark or you hit on a guy at a wedding. So explain that one first.
Okay, so we're at a wedding, New Year's Eve. Everyone had too much to drink. There were 300 people there. I went with a bridesmaid, danced with her, sat down. I went back to my staff, all the bachelors. They all made the remarks that you can imagine about you ought to do this, you ought to do that. I grabbed a guy, tussled his hair, no, I ought to do it to you, and there were other words, and they're all out there. I gave a full and complete disclosure, and I left because I realized the party was getting to a place that I shouldn't be at. And I did it. Now they're saying I groped a male staffer. Yeah, I did. Not only did I grope him, I tickled him until he couldn't breathe, and then 4 guys jumped on top of me. It's my 50th birthday. It was kill the old guy. You can take anything out of context. By the way, we all live...
Was your wife at that one?
No, this isn't a townhouse. We all live together. All the bachelors and me, because nobody can afford in Washington, D.C. to pay the outrageous rents. My chief of staff had a conniption and said, you can't live there. That's not congressional. So I moved into my office. But it's true. And here's the point, Glenn. No matter what I say, it doesn't matter. If somebody on my staff was offended, was uncomfortable, thought I was inappropriate, I own that. It's why I resigned. We all signed a code that I wrote, a code of ethics in January, because we wanted to tighten the ship up. And we did.
No, it's not working. But anyway, go ahead.
And I didn't live up to it. What my attackers don't get, and trust me, this is all a planned and calculated, we'll leak this, we'll leak that.
Let me just stop you here. Let me say the same thing I said to Rod Blagojevich when he was on this program.
There's a comparison.
Yeah. You've been looking me in the eye the whole time you've been talking to me. That requires, if you're lying, that requires a soulless person. Do you believe in God?
Yeah, okay. Yes, I do believe in God.
All right.
That's why I'm alive.
If you are lying, do you realize the damage that you're doing, not just to you, but your sweet wife, who I met beforehand, and she is a sweet woman who believes you, your children who are in college, who believe you, but also parents, the damage you're doing...
My staff.
But the damage you're doing to the country as well.
That's why I resigned. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I own this misbehavior.
Okay, but there's a difference between misbehavior and what they're accusing you of. Here, let me just say this. Somebody says, I groped male staffers, female staffers. I was fondling a cat, whatever it is. I don't resign. I stand up and I say...
No, you do.
No,
and here's why.
No, I don't.
Well, I do, and here's why. Because it doesn't make any difference what my intentions were. It's how it's perceived by the individual who receives that action. And we set it up so that it could be completely...
Your name is at stake here.
And that...
No. Not just your name.
Everybody's name.
Your children's
That's
name.
right.
Okay? So there's something called honor. You are a Navy guy.
So the only other
honor.
thing... Glenn, the only thing I do is slip my wrist and bleed out here on the... I'm telling you, I was wrong. I was wrong. It's why I've...
Wait. What you're saying to me is they took it wrong.
No, I'm saying my behavior was wrong. My behavior was wrong.
What was wrong about it?
I should have never allowed myself to be as familiar with my staff as I was. I never translated from my days in the Navy to being a congressman.
Right.
But I did not. Let me be very clear.
I don't know what tickle fights in the Navy. I've never been in the Navy. I don't know what tickle fights in the Navy.
Let me show you something.
You're going to show me tickle fights?
I'm going to show you a lot more than tickle fights. You can't, I don't know if you, that's a crossing the line
Harry,
ceremony.
can you get this?
That's a crossing the line ceremony in 1983. If you were to take this out of context today.
I don't know if you can show that. You really, Harry, you know. Yeah.
But can you imagine transporting back to this today? It looks like an orgy in Caligula.
All right.
And anybody that's been in the Navy knows it. And I am at fault. I own it. Nobody forced me out. I made the decision.
Did you ever touch anybody sexually or grope anybody sexually?
No.
Okay.
No. And there's a big difference.
There's a huge difference. And
but
that's
when
why
you take things out of context in Washington, D.C., this is what the whole crux of this conversation is about. See, everybody loves an independent member of Congress until you are one. And the minute you step out of the mold, then the whip starts cracking. And those aren't my words. I was listening to it on this TV station today. And we'll talk about the particulars. I got myself between a rock and a hard spot. And all of a sudden, I mean, think about this. Within 15 minutes of me deciding to leave, Politico published a full story on this, complete with anonymous sources and timelines that obviously had been in development for goodness only knows how long. Who knows where they... Don't you find that kind of odd?
No, I don't.
Well, I do.
I mean, the reason... No, I don't, because I have 2 unauthorized biographies coming out about me in this spring.
No,
and
I've never had that happen.
Yeah, well, I've got 2 of them.
By the way,
I understand smear tactics.
Okay.
I get smear tactics. And that's why I want you to say... Because, look, as I said to Rod Blagojevich, if you can look at the American people and say... Look, I did nothing wrong. I did nothing sexual. I did nothing criminal.
I did nothing sexual. I did things that were wrong. I should not have allowed myself to be that familiar with my staff.
Okay. And you did nothing criminal?
No.
Okay.
No.
So if you if you say that and then it comes out and, you know, whisper campaigns are whisper campaigns. But if it comes out, you're one of the most evil bastards I've ever met. If you can say that and look at somebody in the eye and...
So be it.
Okay.
At this point... people will be told to say anything about me.
How does that work exactly? What do you mean by that?
Well, come on. Let's be blunt. I voted against... By the way, we actually agree on some things. And I have hundreds of friends who in the past 48 hours think I'm Beelzebub, think I'm the devil, because I'm coming on this show.
Oh, I know that.
I mean...
Oh, I have several friends who think I'm the devil for having you on.
And by the way, I don't view you... This is where I'm different. I don't view you as my enemy. I view you as a political opponent on some issues. By the way, not all. If you look at my voting record, you find... I mean, they actually said I was the most centrist member of Congress. I voted against cap... Oh, yes.
Oh, well, that means... I've seen Congress lately. That actually may be true, but...
Well, I voted against cap and trade. I voted against the financial services restructuring bill.
Yeah, but you're also... I mean, you're...
And yes, we do disagree. I happen to believe that health care is an imminent crisis. It is. But I also believe that what we're about to do will make it worse.
But you want when you're standing against health care, it's because you want a single-payer program.
In my vision of what would be perfect, yes. We're never going to get there. You and I can debate this for eons. But by the way, here's a solution to that agreement. What's the common ground? In healthcare, the biggest imperative is fix those who cannot get insurance without changing the world for everyone else. So let us buy into Medicare. I mean, there's common ground here. But that's not what this is about.
Okay.
I get it. You're holding up your hand.